Now, I've done my fair share of FPL drafts this pre-season so far, so I thought I'd step aside and let AI have a go, and I'm going to talk you through an AI draft in this video. Now, before I get into the AI draft, I just wanted to say that this video is done in partnership with Fantasy Football Hub. I'm showing you what Fantasy Football Hub has to offer just quickly. So this is my team in the tool as it stands at the moment. You can see the players there. I'm not going to talk through it in detail. Kelleher, Murillo, Gabriel, Wan-Bissaka, Salah, Palmer, Addison, and Jai, Wood, João Pedro, and Solanke. And on my bench, I've got Darlow, Rogers, De Kuyper, and a Steve, right? So it will give you expected points data for every player you pick for the next 3 weeks. I think that's quite a useful stat to have on your team selection. You get a game week rating, so a team rating for the specific game week that you're looking at. This team gets a 94% rating for game week 1, 63.8 projected points. You can also, haven't set it yet, but you can, if you want to use your chip, you can input your chip strategy and it will show you your strategy for the season and points if you use your bench boost. Salah's my captain and a 92% overall team rating. So this is the kind of stuff you see when you input your draft into Fantasy Football Hub. And like I said, you can get your team rated for free using the link in the description below. So check out that link in the description below. And if you want to sign up for Fantasy Football Hub, there's a link to sign up as well. I'll get you 50% off. And if you don't win your mini league, you get your money back. So I think that's a pretty good offer. You can take advantage of that link in the description below. So onto the AI team then, and I think it's quite interesting. So it's got Verbruggen in goal. Now it looks like Kelleher is the consensus 4.5 million defender pick. But when you look at the players that Brentford have lost, I think there's a genuine case that Verbruggen could be on a par, or if not better than Verbruggen as an option. And yeah, I don't mind the Verbruggen pick, to be completely honest with you. The defence is Cucurella, who I think is an outstanding defensive pick. I think he's going to start for Chelsea at left back. You know, there are multiple 6 million defenders that you could possibly pick in the game. Cucurella, I think, probably has the best opening fixtures of all of them. And I would say, you know, compared to maybe Aït-Nouri of Man City, he's probably more nailed, isn't he? I just think he's got that left-back spot for Chelsea absolutely nailed down. Milenkovic, who last season, if defensive contribution points were part of the game, I can't actually remember, was he the top scoring defender? Well, regardless, if they were part of the game, he would have been the top scoring defender in the game last season. I think Forest have got some decent fixtures to open up the season. They did drop off a little bit towards the back end of last year, which would worry me slightly. But I think he's a good option. You know, he's going to do okay for defensive contributions. He's an absolute threat from set pieces. And I think Forest, you know, they're a defensive solidity first kind of team. So I think they're going to keep some clean sheets this season. And then interestingly, it's gone for Romero as the other centre-back or the other defender. I think he's going to do okay for defensive contributions, I'd imagine. And I think the reason AI has picked Romero is when you look at all of the Tottenham defenders who, by the way, have a, you know, they could be okay, particularly for game week 1. I think Romero is the one that offers the most attacking threat, particularly goals, right? He is really dangerous from set pieces, where you think, as Van der Ven doesn't really offer a whole lot of goal threat. You obviously got Porro, but even him, I think he offers less goal threat than Romero with how dangerous he is from set pieces. So yeah, interesting to see it's gone for Romero. By the looks of things, you could actually bench boost this squad, by the way it's laid out. It doesn't specifically say to use it, but I think you could. Petrovic, who's the other keeper in this team, obviously plays for Bournemouth, and I would say he's actually, right now, probably my pick of the 4.5 million goalkeepers. It's just that Liverpool fixture in game week 1 that's going to put you off. But beyond that, Bournemouth's fixtures are all right. And we all know how good they were defensively last year, right? The only thing that would concern me about Bournemouth, yes, they've lost Howson to Real Madrid, but Senesi's going to come back in, and I think he was the regular starter before Howson made it into the Bournemouth 11. But it does look like Zabarnyi, the other centre-back, could be off to PSG as well. And I think if Bournemouth lost both Howson and Zabarnyi, that's quite the loss for them. So just one to monitor there. Fleming, who I think will probably play up front for Burnley. I don't think he's necessarily going to light the world up, but he's picked because of other players in this team, and it's what you can do with the rest of the money, basically. He's got Tottenham as his fixture. Bit of a, I guess, is it just exposition the correct word? Anyway, just a position. He's against Tottenham, who you've got coverage from in Romero, so I guess it makes sense that he's benched. Selt, who I think looks like he's going to start for Sunderland. And Chris Richards from Crystal Palace, who has really gone under the radar at the moment. The defensive contribution points are factored into the projected points totals you can see for these players. And I think Richards at 4.5 million, I think he's actually better than Gahey for the defensive contribution points. I think he could be a really nice option for Crystal Palace at that price. On to the midfield then, and I think it's quite an interesting midfield. So it's got Salah. I mean, AI has picked Salah. No real surprises there, I would say. Broke the FPL points scoring record last season. He's 14.5 million. I think the most expensive midfielder ever at FPL, but I still think it's a decent price for him. Interestingly, it's gone for Saka over Palmer. You look at game week 1 and he's got more expected points. You look at game week 2 and he's got more expected points as well. That Leeds at home fixture, I think, is fantastic for Arsenal. And obviously that Liverpool fixture is a tough one, but the expected points at least are not too dissimilar. I'm looking at Palmer on my other screen. He's got 6.1 against Fulham in game week 3 and Saka is on 5.8. So on the whole, there's not a lot of difference between them. I do like Saka, don't get me wrong. The appeal lessens a little bit, I would say, with Gyökeres or Gyökeres signing. I keep forgetting how to pronounce his name. The question, I think, remains who's going to take penalties for Arsenal. I think if Saka is not the Arsenal penalty taker, that takes away from him a little bit as an option, I would suggest. But, you know, you can't deny he's a good player. And still, I would say Arsenal's sort of talisman. Declan Rice, I think he's up here because of his set pieces and the goals and assist contribution he'll get from them. He did okay from that perspective last year. And also, of course, with the position he plays, I think he's going to do quite well for the likes of ball recoveries and just overall defensive contributions. Another player that hasn't made the AI draft that I think could compete with or potentially overtake Declan Rice, depending on how much he gets involved in the attack, I suppose, is Rodri. His last season in the Premier League, he scored 9 goals and got 8 assists, I believe. So he had 17 attacking returns last time out in the Premier League when he actually played a full season. I think he could be a genuine rival to Declan Rice at that price point. And we got Yakuba Minter. Obviously, with Sunderland signing one of the other Brighton wingers, he could have a clear run in the team now as a starting option. 6 million. Brighton are a good team from an attacking point of view. They've got some decent opening fixtures. Yeah, the AI seems to like Minter. And then we've got Semenyo, who I think has been picked with the same sort of mentality as Petrovic. Yes, that opening fixture against Liverpool is not great, but over the long run, I think he's going to be a great option, right? At 7 million is Semenyo. And the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking I could afford Semenyo instead of someone like Njai in my team. I think he could be better, particularly from open play at least, he could be a better option. So it certainly made me think about a couple of players, namely Declan Rice and Semenyo this AI draft. Up front then, obviously we've got 2 players. 5 in midfield means there's going to be 2 up front. Straight in, it's gone for Gyökeres. I mean, the guy's numbers at Sporting Lisbon were just absolutely outrageous, right? More than 1 goal per 90 minutes. That's obviously in the Portuguese league, but he had a fantastic outing in the Champions League as well against some really top teams. So, yes, the Portuguese league may not be, you know, a great comparator to the Premier League, but I think the numbers he put up on the big stage in the Champions League as well suggest that this guy he's a bit of a bagsman, isn't he, Gyökeres? He's got Man United and Leeds as his first 2 fixtures, 2 really good ones. I'd be a little questioning as to whether he'll do very well against Liverpool, you know, up against Van Dijk and Konate. But yeah, I mean, I really like him as an option. What I guess, there's a couple of things I guess that AI doesn't quite know. And one of the replies to Wissa is that transfer rumours, right? It's probably not aware that Wissa is currently refusing to play for Brentford and may well be off to Newcastle. I think that's the current team that he's rumoured to be off to. And Gyökeres, now, I believe he's going to play for Arsenal, right? That's my honest belief that he's going to start game week 1. But there are some Arsenal fans that are doubtful as to whether he's going to be nailed on for them. Obviously, Arsenal have a big squad. They've got a lot of attackers that could, and they do have players that can cover that centre-forward spot. But I look at where they were last season playing like someone like Mikel Merino at centre-forward, right? I'm sure that Gyökeres is going to be the first choice striker. And I think if you're looking to bed in a new defender or maybe a new midfielder, they might need a bit of time to adjust in a couple of games where they're benched and maybe play some limited minutes. But I think for a centre-forward, I think he's going to go straight into the team. It's just my personal opinion. I know they haven't like absolutely broken the bank on him because they've negotiated well with Sporting Lisbon. I would say if he was like a record transfer fee, he'd be in the team straight away, wouldn't he? But I just think the guy's going to play. And one of the factors I really like about him, which is what I covered with Saka, is I think he's probably going to take penalties as well. Wissa, I think he's great if he stays at Brentford, but that's the question. Is he going to stay at Brentford? There were reports that he's either left the pre-season squad or refusing to train, something like that, because he wants to leave. It looks like Newcastle are lined up to sign him. I think if he signs for Newcastle, Isak leaves, he could become quite a nice option, I suppose, if Newcastle don't sign another striker on top of him. So yeah, I think he could be a good option, but it all depends on transfer rumours. So for me, I'm not having Wissa in my team at the moment. I'm picking Solanke. But if he stays at Brentford or signs for Newcastle and they don't sign another backup and Isak leaves, I think he could be a nice option. And finally then, this is how the team stacks up. So it gets 64.4 predicted points for Game Week 1. I've not seen many teams, to be honest, in Fantasy Football Hub at least, with a higher predicted points total for Game Week 1 without a bench boost active. Obviously, the 100% AI rating, because the team is done by AI. And yeah, Salah as your captain. Like I said at the start of the video, if you want to get your team rated by AI totally for free, you can use the link in the description below and let me know in the comments what score your team gets. You can't beat 100%, but let's see how close you can get to it. And yeah, if you want to sign up to Fantasy Football Hub, 50% off, money back if you don't win your mini league. There's a link in the description as well. All right, well, thank you very much for watching. Like I said, links below to get your team rated by AI for free and to sign up to Fantasy Football Hub, remembering 50% off and your money back if you don't win your mini league. What else did I want to say? Yeah, quite an interesting one, that. Some players I don't think I'd personally pick, but in some cases there are some players that have been... A seed has been dropped about Declan Rice and Semenyo, let's say, because I can afford Semenyo in my current draft if you figured that one out. Yeah, if you enjoyed the video, please leave me a like rate and let me know in the comments what you think of this AI draft and if it's given you any players to think about. And also, when you put your team into the AI team rating tool, let me know the rating you get as well. And if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the Golden Goal channel. Should be around there somewhere on your screen. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video.